When people think of management sims these days, they immediately think of the tycoon genre. Games like Roller Coaster Tycoon and SimCity have become a permanent part of gaming lore. While it's a rather broad genre, there is one part of it that I feel like has been lost to time: the dungeon management game. Originally made popular by Dungeon Keeper, it was always somewhat of a narrow genre, which is why I was real surprised when Evil Genius was first released in 2004. Marketed as a game where you manage your evil minions and plot to take over the world, at its core, Evil Genius is more or less a spiffier version of Dungeon Keeper. You're building an underground base, raising an army of minions, and plotting to eventually take over the world. Obviously, the aesthetic is pretty significantly different, but the core idea is exactly the same. And don't get me wrong, I think that's fantastic, because the problem I have with Dungeon Keeper and its sequel these days is that they haven't aged very well, graphically or mechanically. Never mind the fact that they're somewhat difficult to get running properly on quite a few modern machines. Evil Genius, on the other hand, works right out of the box, and even runs in widescreen with minimal tweaking. Even at that high resolution that it was never really meant to run at, Evil Genius looks surprisingly great. The game has a great throwback style to it, but it also put a lot of effort into impressive little effects like reflections on polished floors that help to make it still look modern. Of course, these aesthetics mean very little if they aren't wrapped around something that's fun to play, and Evil Genius delivers in that aspect as well. While there is the base management that you sort of expect, assigning workers to different tasks, building out new rooms, creating traps for your enemies to fall into, ultimately, just like Dungeon Keeper, your primary goal is to take over the world. However, Evil Genius has you taking somewhat of a more active role in that. In addition to doing all that aforementioned base management, you also have to take an active part in committing crimes all around the world by deploying your minions on a world map screen, then telling them what to do. Eventually, after you get enough objectives done at one base, you'll move on to the next. And that's actually one of my biggest problems with Evil Genius. The campaign is all there is. Juggling all the different components is fun while it lasts, but once you've defeated the final scenario, starting the game over doesn't prove that much of a challenge, even after hiking the difficulty up a level or two. The game also suffers from a whole bunch of AI bugs, the kind you would expect from a game where any NPC can interact with any object in countless numbers of ways. While it's frustrating when it happens to your own guys, you can also use it to save a whole lot of money on traps by just building out hallways and rooms that enemies find super confusing before they just give up and leave. But the gameplay remains fun despite those problems, at least the first time you play the game through. And really, if you're looking for replay value, you should probably be looking at a management sim with a bit more in the realm of freeform creativity anyway. In Evil Genius, you're trying to complete an objective, and taking over the world is admittedly a whole lot of fun. Every Monday, I look at a game that's at least 10 years old, what I would consider to be retro, and I see if it's held up today. If you like that idea, be sure to subscribe so you can see the latest videos. If you like this video in particular, be sure to hit that like button, and thanks for watching.